Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is the monthly report for April in 2026, and this one's an extra special one. We've got an extra guest, and of course, starting out, we have Brett Geddes. Welcome to the show, mate.
This is going to be an exciting one, Deethy. All the way from Tassie, special guest. Can't wait for this.
Yeah, we have Plinio Taurian. Did I get your name right? I didn't ask that.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no secret spelling or phonetics in there, mate.
Very good, mate. Mate, welcome to the show. We've got you on this one because obviously we've got the upcoming Tassie events with the Hobies and with ABT. So you are the man on the spot to give us some inside intel to help people get bags of fish.
Hopefully, yeah, not involved with the comps anymore, but a keen follower of your podcast and the comp series around the country still. So, yeah, hopefully I can add something positive into the mix.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking forward to that. There's a whole swag of lures there, a couple of secret ones that are coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. And obviously, Brett, mate, you have had a couple of cracking sessions in the last couple of days, I think, or today and yesterday, I think.
Oh, look, Deethy, the Vic Bream comp was on, and I was fishing the Gippy Lakes too, but well away from the arena where they're mostly competing. And I'll save it for a little bit later, but in my words, I caught some trucks. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. Caught some trucks on some special ugly. Okay, so in this one, so what we're going to do, I'm going to roll the intros in a minute. We're going to run through what's happening this month in competitions around the country. We're going to have a bit of a talk about some young angler pathways into bream fishing and all sorts of stuff. We'll see where it goes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll the intros and we'll see what happens.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right, so as usual, we're going to start with what's going on in the country in bream fishing, and in no particular order. This one, the first one I've got here is the Vic Bream, and they're off to Marlow 2nd and 3rd of May, so that should be an interesting event. Obviously, a couple of comps there last year, a Hobie event just a month ago, and I'm very interested to see how they go, whether they catch them or whether they don't find them. And we'll come back to the Vic Bream because there's some pretty spectacular results out of there. One of the ones that we'll be interested in talking to Plinio on about in a minute is the ABT. They're off to the Huon River on the 15th and 16th of April, and then backing it up a couple of days later on the Derwent River for the 18th and 19th, I think launching out of Bell Reef. For the Hobies, they have round 4 in Tassie as well. So just preceding the ABT events on the 8th and 9th of April at Little Swan Port. And then it's all about the Swans for the Hobie because they're on the Swan River on the 11th and 12th of April. So if anyone heading down there for the double header, you've got a couple of weeks of awesome fishing. Action fishing tournaments, they have one on the Gold Coast at Paradise Point the 18th of the 4th. And then they're down to Woy Woy for the Sydney round on the 19th of the 4th. New South Wales Tournament Series, their round 2 is on the mighty Hawkesbury River on the 26th of the 4th, so that must be the long weekend, I'd imagine. And wrapping it up, one that I haven't spoken about before, I don't think much on the podcast, is the Pertec Fishing Challenge. So that's been run around the country with lots of different species. I think it's a really great family event. Everyone can register and everyone's a chance of catching a fish. With that, it's a catch photo release for anyone who hasn't done it. I think it's about $35 plus postage to get involved in that one, but some amazing prizes, including the mystery length, which is you take a photo, send your fish in, and there's a designated mystery length. And for that, the prizes are phenomenal. And I know this because I won it with a whiting one year with I think a 38 centimeter or 37 centimeter whiting, and it was worth $4,000. So,
wow.
So pretty fantastic prizes for that.
And Deethy, just to butt in there, there's a big uptake on that. That gets a lot of interest from right across the country. I know because there's multiple species.
Yeah.
But, I have a lot of talk in my local waters about this comp, or that comp. And yeah, it's interesting how they do it, and it just gets bigger every year. It's quite amazing, isn't it?
It is, mate. It's a fantastic comp, and I've signed up for it a bunch of times and not always fished, but I've also won 2 major prizes. I won Big Bream once for New South Wales, and I won the mystery prize. And then last year, I actually got the exact length for the mystery length, but it goes on whoever puts their photo in the app the first. So I got knocked out by someone who put their photo in a couple of hours before me.
Oh, what'd you miss out on?
$4,000.
Oh, bugger, that hurt.
Hey, what are you going to do? I remember looking at the results going, that was my measurement. I think it might have been 38 centimeters even. And when I went, no, that's what I got. And I looked back and I went, that's what I got. And then there's a caption, there's a little asterisk next to the prize going, first person to enter the prize, the length.
Oh, Deethy, it's like just missing the quaddie by a nose.
Mate, exactly. All right. So that's pretty much what's going around the gowns. There's another comp which I'll run into in a little while. What we might do, I think we're going to go straight to you, Plinio. Let's talk about Tasmania, mate. So the month of April, in general, how is that for a month for fishing down there?
Oh, really good. Like, you've got the Bream at the end of their summering period. They're normally in really good nick all around the state. And then they start to do, depending on, rain influence here and there, that they might start to get. They'll start to come together in pre-spawning year classes, it seems. They definitely seem to be, in low 30s and then mid-30s and then big uns in groups. They've already seemed to have started to group up like that. And you sort of get a little bit of that where you can read each estuary, in each area and see what fish are around. And then sort of go back and refish them, the next day, which is going to help in the comps. Very good end of the year. It's the end of the year. Probably my favourite time of year to fish.
Okay.
And good weather too, Plinio. Like it's historically, isn't it? It's that autumn time right around the country. You tend to get those run of 4, 5 and even 6 good days, even in Tassie. So you would probably hang your hat on that theory, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It's, May's probably the calmest month of the year down here. So we're definitely getting those longer periods of settled weather already started recently. Yeah, and hardly any high wind at all. You get a little puff there for a day or so. You'll get a little pre-winter sort of front come through, but there's not much in them generally this time of year.
And back on the fish segregating into size classes, as an ex-comp fisherman, would it be fair to say that if you get a bag of whatever, say 33 forks, and you keep getting 33 forks, is it then time to move on and try and chase a bigger class?
Oh, look, for my money, places like the Derwent and the Huon, it's probably time to move on immediately if you're catching, 33s and 30s, because I don't really, you get stuck with those things, they're just not going to help. So,
yeah.
Particularly the Derwent's going to be like that this year, and places like the Swan. Little Swanport's probably the toughest of all 4 arenas. There's also another little comp up at St Helens this year, a teams comp Morgo's doing.
Teams comp, yeah.
But, that's going to be the toughest of the kayak series, I reckon, at Little Swanport.
Yeah, right.
The, without high water and fish out on the flats, they can fall back in the weed a lot. There's a lot of seagrass weed, and they'll tend to retreat back to the weed, and it's like they're not there.
They're just hiding.
But they are there.
Right. Okay. So with the comps, we're starting off. The first one is the Hobie round down in Little Swanport, which you said is the toughest of the arenas. Let's talk about some of the tactics. You've got guys in Hobies. What do you think they should be throwing if we start maybe with lures?
Look, I'm not a comp fisherman anymore, so I've got the benefit of going out the right tides all the time. But I think, guys always seem to do really well with big rig plastics down in Tassie when they're just searching around down here. But if you've got enough water, the bent is a good producer of big fish. Always has been at Little Swanport. But there's enough sort of non-sort of high tide sort of pans, like silt pan, in the middle part of the estuary that I tend to sort of gravitate towards when there's not like a big high tide. Like when we wreck fish Little Swanport, for example, we look for those 1.3 highs, and there's really, you can just about count them on your hand, during the right part of the day each year. And because we want to fish the sand holes, the very highest, gravel patches and that, all the champagne fishing. But you're just not going to get that. We should be looking at the tides right now, but I looked at the tides. They're not fantastic.
Okay.
But that's good. It's a challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
There's some deeper areas. So people, might do well with jig rig plastics, small vibes, blades, that sort of thing. There'll be enough water for some good racks fishing too. Of course, they're not the easiest racks to fish at Little Swanport. There's not much room under a lot of them. And being in amongst them is pretty nasty. There's just no width. So people tend to gravitate towards, ends of the rack sort of casts, and just into the entry and on those little pans out the front rather than getting right in amongst them. Can get pretty messy in there if you actually get in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You need to do the danger cast. You need to throw it as far as you can and try and get them out.
Yeah, it's all right when you have enough water over the racks and you can throw over and entice them out. That's a lot easier. But once you lose that high water and you can't throw across and drag them out and then drop it on the edge and then pull them away.
Yeah.
Once you lose that option, you sort of just got to sort of poke around the edges. But there's plenty of edges there. There's plenty of racks. So.
And Plinio, any opportunities for sight fishing, like without tech, just to actually see fish and target them from a length, from a distance?
It's a good time of year. We've got pretty good clear weather, stable weather, which means you get a lot of cloudless bright days. The angle of the sun's not best this time of year. You tend to real sort of, 11 to 1 stuff this time of year. You lose that 9 till 2.
Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Like fishing bracket that you have in midsummer. But, wise anglers will take that opportunity as soon as blue skies above you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I take it from that, for the guys heading to Little Swanport, that blades, vibes and soft plastics is probably the right way to go.
Yeah, I think that'll be the most useful sort of bag filling sort of tools. But as soon as you've got room to throw shallow minnows, of course, I'll mention it a lot today. Shallow minnows, and I use EcoGear MW, but everyone's got their favourite shallow minnow. I find them, your real bread and butter presentation down here, simply because you can cover so much water. And as a search button, it's hard to better them, because you just the meterage you're covering, is phenomenal. And then, you get the option to slow down as soon as you find a couple.
Yeah.
And you let the fish tell you retrieve rates on the day changes, or generally fairly quick or super slow twitch stop?
Pretty much always flat out with me. I'm a come get it or you're missing out guy. So, but, of course, I was fishing yesterday on the Derwent, and as soon as I saw cloudy water, wasn't sure if it was little drainage run-in influenced cloudy water or it was a big rip-out tide cloudy water. As soon as I saw that, I knew to bring it back a little bit. That's just normal 101 stuff. But in a clear water scenario, I'm gonna make them chase it.
Yeah, cover a lot of country too.
Absolutely, and it's all about me. Which I often say to people, fishing is just maths. It's just getting, adding the ones together. The more maths you can sort of influence in your direction, the more 1% you can add on to your base number. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
That's definitely one of them, is covering ground.
Yeah. So the MW, have you got one there?
Yeah. I'll hold up the famous one. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. So that's a 62, I think.
Yeah, that's 62F.
Yep.
That's the famous blue one. Yep.
And that's typical for Tassie with a bit of silver on it.
Yeah, it's classic bait fish colour.
Yeah, right.
With a little detail on it, like a fin and little yellow bum on it.
Yep.
Yep.
Very nice. And what sort of leader do you throw those on? What sort of lines?
Standard rig is for me is, 8, 9 to 12 pound PE and a 6 pound fluorocarbon leader.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. Very.
the best thing about that lure is its castability. You can
Just
end, and you need, most of the year, autumn's better, but most of the year it's pretty damn windy down here. And whether you're lake fishing for trout or throwing, on estuaries for bream, getting a straight line cast out there that's more than a 1% of that one. That's like a 5 or a 10% of that one.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so what I can take from that is the guys should go and jump on a couple of those and maybe wind them just a little bit quicker than what they're used to based on what you're saying. Very good.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Worth a try.
Yeah, definitely worth a go. And like you said, there's plenty of different lures out there. That's just one of the ones that they could have a crack at.
Yeah, plenty of good shallow minnows on the market. Everyone's got their poison in that area. But, I think often people look for sort of, matching the hacked and all that stuff. I'm not a believer in that at all. I think if you find a lure that they like, it's often not about colour. It's often about movement or something you're doing. But normally, it's about function. Probably something you're putting into it and therefore it'll do because of the type of lure. Yeah. Definitely function's a big one for me.
And I read into that, Plinio, is that you don't change lures very often during the course of a day or week. You will fish the same lure 2 or 3, mate?
That's pretty true, but I'm getting better, Brett. Yeah, I'm learning to diversify a bit more. You can back yourself in a corner with your favourite lure, especially down here where you're not getting a lot of pressure, and you sort of pig out on the bream fishing because you know where it is and where it's good.
Yeah,
and you don't have to, but I think I've definitely sort of started becoming a 4 or 5 rod guy again. And I'll have some sort of creature baits, some vibes, and a couple of different depths of hard bodies to mix it in during the day now.
And is it fair to say you've always got a blade ready to go?
Always got a blade ready, and now I'm starting to mix in the maracute crab with that, because standard deep presentation. I'm really not a plastics guy. Hey, it's just too slow for me now that I'm a rip and jerk and tug and rip and jerk and tug again. Yeah, guy, it got hard to fish a plastic. It's hard to slow down again, isn't it? That slow. So yeah, anyway, I'm having to learn how to slow down again fishing the crab because it's all about doing nothing really.
Yeah.
It's tough. It is tough.
With your blades, obviously your eco gear. So are you VX or ZX?
Mostly the ZX and occasionally.
Okay, so for the listeners out there, the ZX is the one with the little stinger hooks, and the VX is just your more traditional blades.
Yeah.
Although I'll
normally start with a 40, get straight on the bottom, no mucking around, and little hops on the bottom, like little tiny ones, one. Then maybe move it to another bite position and start again. Yeah.
Okay.
And black is your go-to, or my favourite early days was what was the gold one? 418?
439 with the olive one?
439, was it? The gold?
I really like the 440 actually. It's like a yellow one.
Okay.
Really like that one. And I don't mind the 471, which is like a motor oily muscle looking one.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're both UV. Funny that. So I think there's something in that, especially in the dark waters on the Huon and the Derwent. Yeah.
Very
interesting.
good.
I'm just looking up that colour of the 440. It is really yellow.
Yeah, it's a little bright puppy, isn't it?
It is. Very good. Very good. All right, let's move on to the next comp. So still with the Hobies, we're off to Swan River, 11th, 12th of April. What are your thoughts down there? Is that going to be vastly different to Little Swanport?
Not really. They're not far from each other. They're only half an hour or so apart as the crow flies. It becomes all about the lower river generally this time of year, and the fish will be right down the sand flats and moving around those different shallow sandy zones in the lower river. Although there has been some really good results up into Moulding Bay, which is sort of a little bit upriver, and it's like a side bay, mid-river. So it won't be that different. There's a lot more open, sandy areas, some racks, but less. And also those sandy, shallow areas are punctuated by, serious sand channels and some sand ledging as well, where you get some sort of blow up. They're a real good one fish wonders, those. You can revisit those sand ledges it's got any sort of quick water over them. And, a really good way to pick up one good one as you're going past. Never pass a good sand ledge on the Swan. That'll pass for.
And what about lure choices? What are we going to throw?
Oh, look, yeah, it's definitely shallow minnows for me early in the day, but it depends what's going on. Done a number of comps on the Swan where we've had rain and fish have been moved deep into the channel, and it's been a real channel bite. So it's something to look out for, this weather over the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure nothing's going to be that rain influenced, but I probably shouldn't have said that. What's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about, fish, coming up into the shallows and then retreating back in the shallows and trying to guess that movement, how they come up in those sort of intertidal channels and how they break off onto the flat and into those, those choice flats area that have a little bit of rubble on them, or, revisiting digs areas up on those real shallow extremities right next to those areas, and then following them back down through those channels and into the deeper sand channels. That's basically what's going on the Swan.
And is that tidally critical there too, in a sense, or can you bank on them also biting outside premium time?
Absolutely. I think the key thing about this time of year is Bream have a big sort of quiet period, during the winter and into spring spawn. So they really are opportunistic this time of year, and they'll bite as often as they can right through the day.
Right. Okay. And then you've got the MXs in the range. What else have you got down there that would be suitable coming out of JML?
Oh, well, yeah, lots of things. So actually the MX is the little one. It is the little.
It's a very slim profile.
And the MW.
Okay, sorry. I didn't get that.
Two M's, MX, MW.
MW. Is W for wide?
Yeah,
or?
the MX is more your real super skinny 300-400 deep stuff,
Okay.
And, of course, the laydown minnow,
Yeah, classic. Very good suspending lure.
Classic. Goes a little bit deeper. The MW does about 800 deep swim on a standard point tip down retrieve. These will get to about 1.2, maybe on 4-pound leader rig. After the tip down, they'll get right down. So the other ones I've been, so that's them. I mean, it's minnow-centric for me, but, we've been fishing a lot more with the SX48 recently.
Mm-hmm.
Sand, that's the thing. These are a great lure to have in Tassie. I don't mind that little one. I don't think I haven't found much difference in the colours, just about that action, putting it in the sand in front of the fish. That's a big thing down in Tassie. I'm sure it's a big thing everywhere, but I've been grubbing only for probably 4 or 5 years, and it's always shocks me how aggressive they get. They get super angry about things trying to get away from them, Bream.
Yeah, right. So you're talking about banging the lure into the sand. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, what do you guys call that? Do you call that grubbing? We call it grubbing down here. I don't know why.
Bottom grubbing, I call it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We should call it digging, I don't know who came up with the grubbing word. Terrible word.
Yeah, that kind of describes it.
What it does.
I mean, it does work. That works everywhere. And it was a shock to me when I was first started brim fishing to use a deep lure in a shallow scenario. So, but it definitely works.
I will chip in too that SX40's only been a gun lure for probably 20 plus years now, maybe 20.
That's a 48 I'm using, but you can do the same thing with a 40.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's the bigger cousin, the 48.
Oh, that's 48, yeah. That.
But same profile, yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah, very similar, yeah. There was a 43 as well, and that used to be a dead set favourite, and then that one got dropped in the rain. Will cried a lot. And then let's just use the 48, and that's probably worked better.
Yeah. Well, you got a bit more casting distance. Now, Brett, I've got a question for you, mate. Do you have a Norrie's laydown minnow?
No, it's not in my box. No, I don't think I've ever owned one, to be honest.
Oh, mate, they are a cracking lure for black brim. Like in some of the systems I've chased them down south, they were the lure in a green colour. So,
okay, yeah. I've seen plenty of them and been told to get them, but you know how you get set in your ways.
Very good, very good. All right, so that is Swan River. So I think That's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Hobies go down there. Then we move across to the ABT, and I don't know where the other comp fits in, but I know you've got Huon River in the 15th and 16th of April. What's the Huon River like? Is it the same as Swanport and Little Swanport and Swan River, or is it?
It's quite different. Yeah, it's like it's steeper sort of forested hills and a steeper drop-off generally on the banks. So a lot of rocky shores. It's a long estuary that comes down from Huonville, and it's just a series of sort of notchy bays all the way down to quite a wide front to the estuary.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another section as you swing round to the north, which is Kangaroo Bay at Cygnet, and that's also part of the venue. So you've got like the main estuary, and you got another sort of big bay to the north. I think you can even go outside the venue a little bit if you've got a big fast bass boat and there's no wind. But I'm not sure how far you can go, but I don't think anyone need to. There's plenty of fish in the place. Yeah. But it's definitely the feature difference at Huon is that sort of secondary drop-off that you get. It's quite different to the Derwent. Also, you've got that water coming out of the Huon River, so you've got that sort of darkness to the water.
Okay.
So don't be frightened to, throw your flashy bait fish lures at all. I'm not a clear profile lure fisher unless I'm in a bright, shallow, sandy sort of zone. Yeah.
Sure. And given the different terrain, how is that going to change your lure selection, or is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did notice they've got some pretty good water, high water for the Huon comp. So you get sort of like a shallow rock ledge with a high tide water bit over, and that'll come out, and then it really does drop away quite steeply. So you get that sort of glory period while the water's up, but it doesn't last for very long, and then you got to get them retreating back. Yeah. So whereas on the, for instance, on the Derwent, you got a lot of big, vast, wide bays. There's a few on the Huon, but generalising, there's a lot of geography like that where it's shallow and then drops off. Yeah.
And on that drop-off, can you, what I call parallel park it and go down on that edge and like fish the prime water rather than go out wide and fish it at 90 degrees? You know what I'm saying? You can...
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I sort of do down along and sort of halve it up a little bit, actually.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, as well. But yeah, you definitely can, and that definitely works. Yeah.
And pulling down with the current to get your bibbed lures down, I gather.
Yeah.
With current more control.
Well, it's not a high current venue. That's an interesting thing. It doesn't really rip as much as the Derwent does in a lot of areas because you've got that gradual opening of the estuary.
Gotcha.
There's no constrictions there's no big constrictions anywhere. There'll be a couple of points.
Okay.
They'll get a little bit, but yeah, it's and the same shape with Kangaroo Bay on that northern part of the venue. You don't tend to get a lot of rip there. So that's actually quite a key difference between the Huon and the Derwent.
Yeah. So I assume if you're targeting that higher rock ledge, you're probably throwing your minnows and more shallow running things. But if you're going to target the drop-off, is that a time when you would pull the crabs out?
Yeah, and our last trip down there, I had some real success doing that, fishing right on the points where there was like, columns of weed and gravel patches. And just, it actually was fishing a hard body and had packs of bream chase out. And then I went, I know what I'll do here, but wasn't the right setup for the hard body. So I was just popping a crab in on the crab sand patches and they were whacking that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also fish these a fair bit actually.
So that's a deep laydown?
Yes, deep laydown. They're pretty big.
Yeah.
But that's all right. If you want to catch better ones, you sort of filter out a few of the smaller ones. It's amazing how smaller bream will eat that too. Yeah. I don't mind. But that gets down to 2.2.
Okay. So that's a decent depth.
Yeah.
And that suspends the same?
Yeah, it suspends pretty well. Even floats up a little bit. Yeah. It's more positive. Yeah.
And
I
with
don't mind that other lures float up quick so I can get over stuff. I don't, me, like I said, I'm ripping and pausing, but I don't pause long.
Yeah, okay.
you give it much time to do any floating up, really.
Yeah, okay. That was my next question. Are you working it fast? And obviously you are.
Yeah, I'm probably going to drag that a bit more because I'm going to get it down to an operating depth and drag it, then leave it in a good bite position. I often find, that sweet spot in a retrieve is like about 1/30 into halfway in, isn't it? So the first part of the retrieve is working it down, and I have this saying to people like attract. Like always, run your lure, get the fish in behind it. This comes from being a trout fisher, you see. Get in behind it, flick, and then set it up in that primo spot,
Yeah, and give them a chance to think about it.
Let them whack it.
And, with the crabs, have you got any rigged up there, or have you got any of the...
Well, I've got some I could rig up, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good because I know they did have a big release on that, but not everyone will be across that. So basically, you've got your soft plastic crab and then your specialized weights with treble hooks.
Yeah. So
okay, so that's just the basic crab, and they're
crab.
Yep. Little
and
smelly.
You've got like there's a little rigged one, a crab weight with the 2 hooks on there. That's only a 1.5. So there's 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, and 4.
Yeah.
And you can use a little spike to pop a hole in the crab if you like, but I've got rigging them now. And so I'll just hold the crab like that. There's a little bump on the front. And I'll just poke it right in the middle there. And you can sort of feel it between your fingers. There you go.
And that's you.
Nice. Easy.
Very, very good.
Pretty quick. Once you get used to it, it's quick as. Just got to be a bit more careful when there's 2 chemically sharpened trebles on there. But
exactly.
Yeah. And then you can run a clip on your line, just clip them on, clip them off if you've got to change weight.
Okay, that's probably a good plan because that's the only drawback with it. You do have to untie or unclip to put a new lure on.
Yeah.
But I did think that's not always a bad thing even if you're tying them on because it means that you're refreshing your terminal knot.
Yeah. This one's a good one. It's done well down the Huon.
Really? What's it called?
It's called not matching the hatch.
It's
nice.
The most bright orange. I think if
Good
Brett was
answer.
going to buy it back, he'd buy them.
Well, I don't know what it's called. Red. I don't speak Japanese. A lot of
Okay.
Japanese. They come from the Japanese range. So
Yeah,
these
right.
ones are slightly bigger than the others. So this L is different to the other L. So
Okay.
these are the Japanese packaging ones. And they're, they're
That's
different.
what we normally see.
They're both called L, but this one is very slightly larger than this one. This one's
Right.
very slightly softer than this one.
Okay. Well, there you go.
We have new colours coming out at the moment as well.
Very good. Very good. All right. Before we move off the Huon, I think we're on. If you only take a couple of lures up there, what would you take? Say you had 2 rods only?
Oh, no, I'd probably take a deep hard body, something that gets down to 1.52 metres, and I'd probably take a shallow jerk bait. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
so,
you cover it. But if I have to take a third, it'd be some deeper offering like a plastic or a creature bait like a crab or a bluff.
okay. But not surface.
No.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, people fish a bent minnow, but they're really, they're a minnow. They're not a top water. 99% of the time they're getting taken when they're pulled down.
Yeah.
A lot of the, on the East Coast, you'll get a lot more slurp down takes on a bent minnow
Yeah.
and the top water, so they're much more of a thing. But I think also, to fish top water takes a lot of time.
Yeah, good point.
Us with a minnow, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. What you said about the brim taking them more under the surface, that's definitely a Tassie thing or a Southern States thing, in my opinion. And Western Australian guys talk about it as well.
Yeah.
Whereas up here, and people can tell me if I'm right or wrong, I think we get them more on the top. They come and take it off the surface. So
Much more aggressive, the yellowfin.
Yeah.
And the blacks are just as Plinio was pointing out. Although when I did go to the Scamander, I had them sipping and slurping multiple times off the top with me I had to make homemade poppers back then, the Elko pop, I called it. And
Yeah.
I was amazed because the locals did say to me, you can't catch bream on surface in Tassie. And I said, oh, okay. Well, that was red flag bull sort of scenario, that to me.
That's right. Challenge accepted.
You definitely can. You definitely can. And they're definitely in the right conditions too, that you need them to be comfortable to slurp down top waters. That's not always there. It's worth having. They're worth having on, aren't they? Because when they do take that, they really want it.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
Got to work when that time is. Like people have done very well in past Tas Classics early in the day on top water. I remember a morning, Pat Sullivan, put a bag together on top water, in the first half hour of the day. This is Tas Classics going way back. So, it's definitely a good tool, definitely worth having there ready to throw. But, the Derwent, not so much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next one on the ABT rounds is the Derwent River. Tell us about the Derwent River. What can we expect down there?
Well, I reckon lots because it's firing at the moment. The Huon's good, Derwent's really on fire. So pray that no rain comes. We had a little bit of rain last week actually, and it was dirty here and there yesterday, but it just sort of made them group up better.
Okay.
Look, we've things have been pretty good in the Derwent the last few years, apart from the issue we've had, which has been algal blooms, which has really been messing the river up. We've had a lot of things contributing to that locally, but this year's been really dry. So that's meant we haven't had, inflows and we've had a saltier water environment. So it's been cleaner. We've had less algae. We've had a big anchovy run into the river and lots of other small pelagics, but the bream are most interested in the mouth pilchards, Australian anchovy, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
Yep. Look just like a jerkbait. And, everything's dining out in those, including the bream. And we seem to have got more bream than has been around for years and better bream. So I don't know what's going on there.
No arguments.
I'm not arguing. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. But, I'm catching, I think I've caught 40 centimetre bream, 4 out of the last 6 trips, which is pretty good as opposed to, a few years back, you were catching 1 or 2 in a whole season. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And you need those picture fish in a comp, don't you? You need 2 to 4 of those in your bag if you're going to win. It doesn't have to be 40s, but you need 38s to 40.
Yeah.
You need those, and you need them in good nick. You need them to weigh well. Look at the Victorian comp. You needed them there, didn't you? And you're going to need them on the Derwent because while it's fishing well and there's plenty of bream, there's a lot of, almost a kilo fish, whether they're 33 or a skinny 36. There's not many of those, but there's a lot of 34s and 35s.
Okay. What would you call a kilo down there to fork length?
36 fork.
Okay. Same.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It might be over when it's a good one. Might be 1.2 when it's a real good one.
Yeah.
But you always think they're a kilo and you weigh them and that's 36 right on a kilo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found. Up here, same thing. If it's skinny, sometimes it won't make it, but most of the time, 36 is bang on a kilo. So,
and that's the other thing about the Derwent. I sent you a pic to 5 I caught yesterday, and they're in good nick, aren't they?
They are in good nick. I'll put them up with your permission. I'll put them up in the thing. We can show them off because that was a good bag of fish.
Yeah, it was a good bag of fish. 40's the big one in that pic, and the other 4 aren't far behind it. I was on a reef section and fishing a bit, and I just thought I caught them because I didn't want to put it out the hole I was on. And they'll go, but they're definitely a good run of fish, aren't they?
I caught
a 40, put it in the well, cast out, next cast got a 39, and I think 2 already got smoked by the biggest one of the day. I had him on, and he just took me on the second run and did me on a bombing. So, and that's the biggest fish I've hooked in years. So I haven't hooked one in the low mid 40s, looked like a 44 or 45 in years. So that's a good thing for the Derwent.
Absolutely. And what were you throwing? What was your lure of choice yesterday?
MW on the reef.
Yeah. Okay. And same retrieve pattern, like quite fast.
Yeah, so it was probably average of about 300 mil deep on this reef, and probably about 600-700 on the other one that I fished yesterday. So on the real shallow stuff, I'm high sticking pretty much the whole retrieve. So I'm getting up on the boat, going downwind, and when that lure hits the water, I'm starting off cocking the rod and just winding up slow, so not allowing the lure to like crash dive. So it'll start to dive and then get tight, and then it'll hold it up like that, and then keep your tip up all the way, and you can like jerk like that and pick up and keep it from hitting those oysters, because you're gone once you hit those oysters.
Okay. And are you, in that sort of situation, are you able to see your lure and see the fish?
No, I'm pretty blind. Look at these glasses. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
I often say to people I use the force. I'm not a sights fisherman.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right. So for the Derwent, like we said, the MWs, is there any other choice of lures that people should really consider?
Oh, look. So yesterday I had a crab tied on. I had a blade tied on, a ZX40. I had 2 MWs tied on, just couldn't, in case I had roasted and I had to pick up throw quick. I don't fish much deep minnows, but I have been working on that. And in those areas out off the bank, when the best water come off the bank, and trying to make something out of those 1 to 2 metre zones. You know, if you're fishing ashore, if you just turn around and look at that water behind you and go, what if? I mean, if they're not on the shore, they've got to be there.
That's
and
right.
I've been working out that bite lately. And that sort of comes from, I did pre-fish with Borgo last time round, because we just old mates and just catching up more than anything. I was able to see live scope for the first time.
Yeah, right.
You know, with the new toy, I was like, oh my God. Like looking at the reef, you know, in a 3-dimensional format, and just looking at groups of fish cruising across the reef. Amazing. But what was more amazing was when we were on the shores and I just turned it around and looked what was off the shore, and there'd be like 4 bream, you know, sitting on a rock. And if someone thinks about that, because there's a lot of average water during the Derwent comp. But like I said, they're opportunists. They'll bite it wherever they can. One sort of just turns that a sonar around and concentrates on those fish. They could really work stuff out. I think especially down at Ralph's Bay, where there's a lot of rock shore that no one really has done much with, and there's a lot of there. You've got fish tripping up when the fish are coming off the shallow areas. They've got to go sit somewhere. And a wise person, you know, there's not much time when you come down. You've got pre-fish and you're into it. So someone that keeps their eyes open and maybe uses their pre-fish well might do real well down there.
Yeah, I think so. And like your Mariuku crabs and your blades, and for myself, I really, after seeing the Norrie's deep laydown, I'm like, I want to go and throw a couple of those, because I reckon they'd really catch them.
Yeah, everyone's got their own favourite, you know, deep, you know, the old double clutch, you know, pretty hard to go past in the 75, you know, that's always done well down here too.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their poison in that area. Yeah.
What about dredging the depths there, Plinio? Would you think about blading like 10, 15 foot of water? Is that a thing, or is it?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely holding zones in the river that, you know, if I was struggling in shallow areas, I would go straight to bag up. One being the Bridgewater Bridge.
While it's there.
And it was quite good.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bread and butter spot, that one. But most people will know about that. See, we don't have while there's some docks, you know, in the Sandy Bay, Lindisfarne, Kangaroo Bay area on the Derwent, there's not a lot of other dock structure through the mid reaches. Not a good dock structure, you know, with the right sort of cover that they like. Quite a few isolated ones and spindly ones, you know, how they don't really like to sit on them much. There's better natural bottom around that they sit on. So, it's not so much a thing through the mid reaches, but I'm going off on a tangent. You got to hold me back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to. They've got the last comp, and I don't have it written in front of me. So they got the teams event. Whereabouts is that going to be held at?
I think Morgo's doing a little teams series at Georges Bay St Helens, and I think it's bag comp format. So you catch 5 on the first day, and day 2 you just try and upgrade your 5.
Okay. All right. And is that going to be sort of similar fishing patterns to what we've just spoken about?
I mean, that's because I'll fish the same stuff all the time. But once again, it's not great high tide, so there won't be a huge shallow water bite available. So people are going to have to, work on those weed lines and those drop off and those little sort of funnel channel areas. They're just all those areas. Yeah, there's some really good stuff. Not dissimilar to the Swan River, where you've got big sand flats and then a sort of weed wall. Those weed wall direct drop off into into sand channel sort of areas. Quite a few areas like that can provide pretty good fishing when you need fish, and the fish will sort of huddle on those weed walls.
It's very much a high tide system, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But, there's definitely options, and definitely with plastics and smart angler will sort of work out where they go and sit. I could sort of reel off a few spots, but, like the back of Malting Bay down there, that's got some good sort of lead-in water to the shallows there, out in sort of 1 to 2 areas. Those big weed wall drop-offs around Greeny's Gut, Trevally Alley, and all the little branches in and around there. Heaps of good sort of junction material there as well. And then the tide change, working the tide change, in the deep sand channels when they're not up shallow.
Yeah, I mean, they have to go somewhere. That's a fact, isn't it? But I found when I was there, I only fished it a couple of times. It was tough when they definitely went somewhere, but they didn't want to eat my lures, that's for sure. And funny you mentioned Trevally, because they kept biting, and they were pretty big too.
It's got a pretty good name for Trevally action, Georges Bay.
Very good. Actually, I'm interested to see how this one plays out, because I think from memory it's your biggest bag or your biggest 5 fish. And so you could see people, getting their fish day 1, but then obviously just chasing big fish day 2 so it'll be very, very cool to see how that plays out. So yeah.
Good concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good. All right. I reckon that covers that pretty well. What I want to double back to is I want to run through Wallaga Lake. So Wallaga Lake was a comp we held 2 weekends ago. One of the more, just a lovely system. Like, honestly, it's a beautiful place to go and everything's good, but the fishing is supremely tough. We had, I think, 75 competitors, 2 full bags only, and I was able to end up in 5th place just with catching 5 fish. So I was 1 fish short, and it was interesting for myself. I didn't actually know what to do down there. I went for pre-fish, didn't crack any patterns. All I did was I could see fish on the sounder sort of all around the place. So come comp day, I just thought I'm going to take my little bivvy vibe, my little duo bivvy, and I'm just going to plug away with this. And I pretty much fished that for 2 days in sort of 3 to 5 meters of water. And I had my best success in the middle of nowhere, but there was just a rise in the bottom. It came up to like 3.1, 3.2. And the fish seemed to be congregated on there. And you could see on my sounder just all these trails of just backwards and forwards across the same spot. And every now and then I'd pick one up. So it was just a matter of grinding it out. And even Jack, who won it, like on day 2, he only got 3 fish.
Oh, so 3 bites only. That was it.
I think he got 5 bites, landed 3 fish, something along those lines. Yeah. So tough comp. It's such a shame. The system, it's reported that there was 600 kilos taken out of bream taken out a couple of weeks prior. So I'm not sure exactly the ins and outs, but that was certainly the rumor that was buzzing around the event site.
Oh, which I think lose half a ton of fish at any time of the year, that would happen multiple times over the course of the 12 months. It's criminal. It's really, really sad.
I think in a small system, particularly this one at the moment's closed, it's had all these fish taken out. There's no chance of replenishing. And 75 anglers, the field are pretty decent anglers. Was only two, like I said, two that could catch 6 bream in 2 days. So it tells you the state of the system.
Not good.
So yeah. But that was the only thing I would draw from that is I just persisted. I just went, I'm just going to keep plugging away at the same thing. I'm not going to change lures so much. I mean, I did fish a couple of things, but I did want to just keep the lure in the water for maximum amount of time. And I think that helps. So yeah, that was my Wallaga experience. The other thing that we had was the Bream Fishing Project Talk Night. We had that on the Saturday night. Had Josh Carpenter down and Carl Dubois. It's funny because a lot of the guys on the kayak circuit didn't really know Josh, but if you go back 10 years, everyone knew him. So it was kind of interesting. And he is an absolute wealth of knowledge, done so much stuff. He was a reel tech for Daiwa. He worked at Hobie. He's now been at Shimano for a number of years. Like he's kind of been there, done a lot of stuff. And it's just a really well-educated, rounded angler. And it came through in the talk. It was very good to have him there. One thing I wanted to share about that, something I learned, which I didn't know about spooling up, and Bradley Sissons piped up and said this while we were having a chat, spooling up straight through fluorocarbon. So what I didn't know, I'm going to use my phone because I don't have a spool here. He said, what you do is you get your spool of line, where is it? And you throw it on the ground, you tie it off to your reel, throw it off the ground, and you do 2 winds. And if that spool coils up, if the line coils up, if it just coils up and gets springy, you flip that spool of line over and then spool the rest of the spool on. And it'll go on without any twist in it. And that's new. Like I've always, the pen through the spool, holding it with both big toes, digging it into the carpet and winding it on. I've always done it like that for 20 years. But apparently it's the wrong way to do it. Did you guys know that Plinio, you're nodding your head?
Yeah, I go is it twisting or is it not twisting this way method? Yeah.
I did not know that.
I found that winding them off the spool was fine. So I just sort of treat it I know how the current one I use spools up now. So
sure.
I spool it up straight off the reel actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll check it. And if it's got any twist, I'll do the old run it out behind the boat, or and redo it like that. Honestly, running that line out, it sounds weird, a weird thing to do, but it definitely gets the twist out. Yeah, but you don't fish a lot of straight through. So that sounds logical to me though, doing it that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, for anyone that doesn't understand what Plinio was just saying, to get the twist out of your fluorocarbon line, if you're running straight through, you basically take your lures and plastics off it and you put it out behind your boat and kayak and just keep feeding line until you pretty much dump the whole spool out behind the boat and then let it untwist and then just wind it back on with a bit of tension, and it tends to take the twist out of it. So, yeah. But I didn't know that. It was good of Brad to speak up. And the other thing that I was reminded, and with this talk, I didn't record it on a good platform, so I'm just going to release that probably into the collective. So that'll be behind for members of the collective if people want to listen to that. But one thing that I was reminded of, I think Josh Carpenter brought it up, was for anyone that's new to competitions, whether you are ABT, doesn't matter what you're fishing, to just focus first thing on getting your 5 fish, 3 fish, whatever your bag is, before you go chasing big bream. Like filling your bag will get you further in competitions in most circumstances, and chasing big fish, particularly as a beginner. Once you've become seasoned, you go, okay, I'm only out to either boom or bust. Well, then definitely go and chase the big ones. But yeah,
you get a bit of confidence too when you get the bite happening, and big bream will obviously at times bite the same as little bream. So if you get that confidence thing and you know the lure's working, it generally translates into bigger fish too.
Yeah, I think so. And that kind of leads us on. When we're talking about big bream, how was the Vic Bream Classics for the weekend? That was
wild. Yeah.
Unbelievable. The Hodges boys with 14 kilos. I think it's the first 14 kilo bag. I'm not sure about ABT, but definitely with Vic Bream. And it was also the biggest single day bag as well, which was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm going to pull that up so I can remind everyone what that was. So they got,
I think I only know of like 2 other 7 kilo bags that I've ever heard of. And wasn't there 3 in the comp or something? 3 7 kilo bags? I know someone else got one as well.
Some of the stats, Plinio, they're quite. I've got just before we got on, I just wrote a few of them down. That it's quite amazing, and if not staggering. It was 12 bags, Deethy, that were 5 kilos or better. Right?
yeah, wow.
Over the 2 days, 12.
Yeah.
There were 10 double bags, 10 kilos plus.
Wow.
Over the 2 days. And the best 2-day bag was 14 kilos. There was 12.7 and 11.4 as well. So they're big bags, 14, 12 and 11. 3 of the biggest bags over the 2 days. The 2 biggest Bream, 1.71 and 1.64. That translates into big Bream forklift 46s, 40 at least. Maybe not because they're fat Bream, maybe 44, maybe. But geez, they look big in the weigh-in live stream and in the tank. And you needed over 10 kilos to get into the top 10.
Wow.
That's pretty cruel. And a 7 or an 8 kilo bag, you wouldn't make the top 20.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's big Bream.
That's pretty wild.
It's pretty, it's amazing. So there were just some of the stats I took away from it all. And I think there was only, everyone caught like their 5 fish bag. There was quite a few that, I think there was only one competitor or group, one team that didn't catch fish full stop. But the Gippy Lakes can be painful, like all arenas. You can get beat. And we had our good friend Matt and Ken at our Bream Fishing Project team, who have now flying the flag for us. And they caught, I think, 2 fish and 1 fish.
Yep.
For the 2 days. And even Matt says himself, he says, well, I'm still a learning fisherman, Brett. I'm getting there. And he says, he admits to as much. But I did point out that every trip you do to the Gippy Lakes, you put that in your bank of knowledge. And these guys, when you take Hodgie, for instance, like they've done, 50, 60, 70 sessions on the Gippy Lakes.
That's right.
And it takes at least, I reckon, 10 or a dozen to get your head around it. You can, at times, head up to Hollands and then pull a bag of 12 kilos over 2 days. There's definitely that. But, it was an amazing event and it was good to see. And it makes my heart sing because that's right on my door. That's my backyard. So it goes strength to strength.
100%. And the bag that Josh Jeffrey and Karen Coleman got, 7.46. That was the single biggest bag. How mental is that?
Yeah, like we look at kilos now. That's crazy.
We're like pretty much average of 1.5 kilos per fish. It's just mental.
And that's not counting the odd one that they would have lost or maybe bust off to. Everyone's got a hard luck story. I get that. But the other thing of interest there too, and this is the incredible part, they caught 60 fish on that second day, I think, on that way in where they weighed in the big bag. Now, that's a lot of hauling in trucks, is all I can say.
100%. 100%.
That'll give you line twist, Andrew.
That'll give you, especially if you're throwing 3 pound. It'd be interesting to see what they threw back. Like if they've got basically 1.5 kilo fish, what was the biggest fish I'll have to try to remember to ask them that.
Yeah.
So
well, they're having to throw back 1.2 kilo jobs. They have to be in the end.
You'd think so. Like
41 forkers.
How long have the nets been out of Gippy Lakes?
It's a bit over 5 years, I think now, or coming up to 5, I think. Could be 6. But look, big bream have always been caught in this system, but there's just so many now. It has made an incredible difference. And we are also seeing that the numbers of small fish that we catch is just incredible. Like it's a joy. Many people may curse that. I don't. I celebrate it. Every big bream was once a tiny little squeaker. And so we've got to rejoice and look after those little fish. And there's just fish after fish, 28 to 29 centimetres. You can blade them up in the depths in most of the rivers and in the straits, you could, well, we've put tallies of 60, 70 fish together, trying to look for the bigger ones, but they just keep turning up to, and then next thing you might get a 1.5 kilo out of the blue. But the netting, getting back to your point, is the lack of netting has just been incredible. And the flathead and we're catching dewies now that off the wharf at Meetung. Like one guy just a couple of weeks ago got 3 huge big dewies off the boardwalk, all over a metre.
Wow.
In soft plastic. In my time, that's never happened. And I don't recall even the commercial boys pulling them up in the nets very often at all. I have talked to them over the years and they said, no, we don't really get them. So look, there's been a lot of changes, and the snapper that have turned up down there, it goes on. And the estuary perch, the boom in perch now is just, again, next level. In my catch rates now, and when I head out fishing now, I'm nearly half and half perch and bream, and best problem I've ever had.
Good problem.
And what about slot limits in the Gippy Lakes? How long have they been there? Because I think I'd like to talk about where that probably should go within a couple of other systems. So how long have the slot limits been a thing in Gippy Lakes?
Yeah, I reckon they've been in 3 years, maybe 4. It's a bit of a blur over time, but I'm pretty sure 3 years, and that's at 28 and 38, and there's a bag of 7. We were tossing around 5 and 10, which it was 10, but then a lot of people said, no, you 10 big bream, that's not warranted. So, but then, you've got to look at 90% of the anglers that come down and fish the Gippy Lakes. They might only visit it once or twice a year. So for those people that are bait and lure anglers, you've got to give them an opportunity. But look, catch and release now. This is the younger generation coming on now. They not only believe in it, they embrace it. That's just par for the course now.
Yeah.
And that element of the good old boys in the 70s, they're probably getting a little bit older now, that used to, and back in the day, we were I would have probably been the same. It just took a spud bag full, and that was it. And there were more fish around, I'm sure, but it was, you took the fish home to show everyone what you caught, and then worked out if you were going to, well, what do we do with them now? There was that element. And let's face it, a lot of people grew up that way. There wasn't the pressure on the fish back then as there is now, but it's a marvellous thing that's all changed, and the caring for, just looking after the fish and generally loving the fish. Like I see young anglers now, they've got photos, they're taking plenty of photos, but they want that fish back in the water, and they're all talking about how magic the fish is and how wonderful they are. So,
yeah.
And all species, flathead, perch and bream in the Gippy Lakes, the big 3. So it's a good thing, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And the reason I sort of brought the slot limits up in particular is I think a couple of other venues, in particular Bream River and Malakuta, who were both, certainly Malakuta, but like as a big fish fishery, you needed 5 kilos to rank there. And now that's changed. And I personally think that a slot limit would help that fishery, in maybe the coming 3, 5, 10 years. I'm keen to hear what you guys think about that, whether that's a good option or not.
Let me say this. Not only is that now the case there at Malakuta, but that's happened over 4 or 5 years. That hasn't been like a 15-year slow decrease in size, and I think the numbers are relatively still pretty good. So that's been quite a rapid change, but Bream River has been a slow decline. I've been fishing it I haven't fished it much the last 10 years, to be honest, but go back 20 and 25 years ago, we often caught 42s, 45s. I remember my first fish out of Bream was 44 or 45. And,
Wow.
You just to think, that's right, Ben's got big bream. And then you'd go on to catch a lot of high 30s and 40s and big perch too. But now, as you know, and all comp anglers know, if you get a 37 tipper, 38 tipper, that's a pretty bloody good fish for Bream. And the amazing part with this is that the biomass of the bream is phenomenal. Like,
Yes.
you can catch triple figures. If you spent the whole day on Bream in summer, You could rack up 100 bream, no worries. But something's wrong. Something's amiss there, because is it that, it is one of the systems that there's a lot of eskies rock up to BEM and get filled time and time. A lot of the old school boys that still go there because they've been going there for 30, 40, 50 years as kids, and they've all got that sort of, let's call it kill and grill mentality. But look, it's in a way it's sustainable in the sense that they will always get a feed of smallish 28 to 32 centimetre bream. A lot of people are happy with that. And if you talk to the people who own the caravan park or the shop, they will all back that as well, because they're getting the people going, the numbers, because they're all going to catch bream. So I don't know if you need to be critical of it, but it's been a huge change at BEM. It's almost got to the point now you won't get a fish over 40.
But this is the thing. I think if you had to put your fish back over, you had to put your kilo fish back.
Yeah.
It's still not going to stop people from taking home, a bunch of fish to eat. They're just going to not take the big ones.
Good.
That's right. And it also just going through the process of thinking about what you're doing and having to release one. It's like practicing in people's head, isn't it? The whole thought process and the idea of a slot limit. Once they've done it once, they're doing it, they're thinking about it. I think actually making people go through those motions is really important. They might not have done that before, and they start doing it. They get a feel-good buzz out of it, They feel like they're part of the management of the fishery. It's inclusive action, isn't it?
It is. It is. And also,
Cool.
I remember Greg Vinyl talking about it. He said if you talk about flathead or bream, it doesn't really matter. You take out your trophy fish. So you take out, every time someone catches a metre flathead, they take it out. Eventually you'll weed out a lot of the stock that is capable of getting to that 1 metre. So you're taking out your bigger brood stock or whatever. So, and the same will be with bream. Like if you take out all your 45s, maybe then you've got a whole population that is only capable of getting to 40.
It's like selectively picking for genetics that only represent smaller fish.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I actually talked to Greg about that, one of the interviews we did. And you need a mix of small ones and big ones to keep the gene pool vibrant.
That's right.
Little bream will survive and thrive. There'll be times when the bigger fish thrive. So, when you selectively choose the bigger ones to go. And look, I'm sure that's happened there because there's been a lot of eskies filled out of BEM. We used to shake our heads because there'd be 20, 30 boats at the ramp and they're all got eskies coming out, and at the cleaning tables it's a lineup.
Yeah.
Like we were horrified at it, but in the same instance, we were still catching a lot of fish.
True.
It's interesting you're talking about the changes at Malakuta and BEM. Like we've had the same sort of tailing off of the better end of the head of fish in a lot of the Tassie waters in the last 3-5 years. I mean, I see my catches, over time, and it's definitely the big fish haven't been anywhere near as regular as they once were. So I don't know why that is, because we don't have much pressure,
No.
There is an old sort of hit them while they're spawning culture down here in Tassie, like bait fishing sort of culture. But I don't know, where have those, maybe it's just cohorts have died out. I don't know, but there's definitely been changes. That's why the Derwent coming back so strong this year has been interesting. But there's definitely discussion in Tassie at the moment. I've been in and talked to IFS, been in to give them a hand and discuss the topic, but they're talking about slot in Tassie now coming in the not too distant future, and that would, I think, be really key. I can't wait for them to decide on it. Right now would be good, and it's not there to stop anyone taking a feed. That's still going to be on the table, but it's like it gets people thinking about what they're doing.
Yeah, you have to embrace taking fish for a food. Now, you don't want that to become a part of the fishing vernacular that, must put everything back. That's not right. That's not right at all. It's a wonderful thing to be able to go fishing and bring home a feed for the family and whatnot. The other thing I just wanted to point out, going back to what you said, was When I did that trip to Anson's Inlet those 15-something years ago, it was one of the first systems I fished over there. And Plinio, I thought, well, I'm in Tassie. I'm going to catch big bream. Here we go. And I tell you, I was struggling to get one over 38 for the couple of days. And then when I got talking to a few of the locals, they said, oh, yeah, no, well, this is just what happens. And then one of the guys at the locals I was staying with, good old Sammy, he showed me pictures on his wall in his shack, and there was like 100 bream all lined up on that. And the picture's 35 years old or something. And look, there was terrible things happened everywhere that long ago. But, he looked at that and then he said, oh, yeah, that's what we used to get. They were every time we went, and I thought, well, every time you went, you're making a dint. Look, we know the logic now, but back then it was sort of like an endless cycle of big fish. But it's had an impact. It's definitely had an impact.
No, definitely. I'll tell you a story. I was fishing the upper Swan in spring, Spawn schools up high in the system this past spring, and got up to one of the top holes and started fishing, and these guys pulled in behind me, a couple of old guys and a little tinny. 2 anchors out, like, oh, here we go, a couple of betos, that's all good. They're behind me, I'll keep going up that way. Turned around, they pulled a frame out of the boat, hooked it on the side of the boat, then got a wool sack and hooked it in the frame, and they were good bait fishermen. They were hauling them in. They'd obviously been doing it for decades, these guys. And I reckon I saw them put 60-kilo fish in that bag while I was watching them. The start, then I had to go away. I couldn't watch it anymore. I went over and I said, tried to be nice about it. I said, having a good day, guys? They went, yep. And looked at me. They knew I knew, and I knew they knew I knew. And then when I came back, they were still putting him in there. So I don't know how many, and I did my best and booked. I failed. I nearly needed. I had to ring Fish Watch, and I ended up ringing a copper I knew, and I tried to make it happen and get caught. But there's still people that do that, is what I'm saying.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Not many.
Good call on the slot limits, though, DT. That was a good...
I think so. All right. I really want to move on to Mr. Geddes. I did think about your name while I was between the breaks, and I think, so you've got B. Geddes, and if you took the S and you put it in front of the B, you'd get Bisgetti.
I used to get called Brett Spaghettis.
Well, there you go. Mate. Tell us, mate, now you've been catching some fish. Tell us what's going on down there.
I'll go through the month because this is the monthly report. So let me just summarise the month of March. I've written down because I keep a diary, Plinio, so I've just got all the entries and added this up. I've caught 163 perch for the month. This is over 14 sorties I've had in this month. 163 perch, best 39.40. 103 bream, my best 43s, 44s, and a few 45s, and a 48 centimetre yesterday was a real standout, 1.68 kg.
Wow.
So that was good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. 25 dusky flats. I love chasing the big duskies. 286 centimetres.
Okay.
10 bass, which was a total blowout because I didn't expect them to be this far down in the system where I'm chasing perch and bream, pretty much salty, brackish water. And the first one I caught was when I was on the phone to you, Deethy, and
That's right.
We were chatting away, and I went clunk. I said, I've got another perch. Jeez, it's going hard. Oh, Deethy, it's a bass.
It's a bass.
Jeez.
You went, I got to go.
I got to go. I'm too excited. And then I got a 43 centimetre after that. So that was exciting. And nearly all of it in Lake Wellington. So, and the standout lure is me hard on soft.
Have you got it there?
Oh, look, I had to dredge one out.
This is my favorite. Oh, it's hard to see. This is my favorite one ever. Like this is,
but it's super
just
ugly.
Not pretty.
I even chopped the bib. It's got a bib on it, but I even shaved the bib down because I don't want it to dive, and I just want it to sink horizontal, and I painted eyes. And it's caught, that lure has probably caught 150, 180 fish.
Wow.
perch and bream. And that got the 48 centimetre bream the other day. But Plinio, look how snag resistant it is. Look at this. It goes through timber. I can throw that into structure all day, every day. My mates are in and out in their kayaks and their boats, unhooking lures. I reckon I go in once or twice a day.
Wow.
And it's got a fair sink rate on it, but they just whack it. They smash that lure, and I'm not taking it off.
Tell me how you cast it. If you're casting into snags, tell me what do you do with it?
So what I do is I throw it straight into the depths of the timber, and as it hits the water, it's starting to sink straight away. So I'm guessing it's going to be 4 to 5 grams. And so it hits the water and it's going down and filtering down through the snags, or there may not be snags, but it's on an edge of drop-off. Historically, I'm fishing it in edges that are 4 to 8, even 10 foot. So I'll go right in and I'll let it get right, nearly sometimes hit the bottom and then retrieve it. But it's also versatile in the sense that I'll use it in the lakes a lot, 1 to 2, 3, 4 foot, but say 3. But these lakes are where there used to be a lot of tea tree and there's been inundated with water, so there's lots of stumps. So you can throw hard bodies in there with trebles on them and you're going to get caught up. And you still get fish. Yeah, no worries. And bibbed hard bodies with big bibs, they ride over the snags. We know that. So there's that element to that. But the hard on soft rides through all that. You can pull it through and you go, that's another stump, and then it'll just go cold-lunk because they're following it through, and it's not getting snagged up. I'm not going in there to destroy the good structure and the water and stuff. So, look, it really is a glorified jig head, really. Yeah. I mean, that's all it really is. I mean, it's a soft plastic essentially, but cutting the hard body in half gives me the opportunity to get that first double hook on the front for the extra hooking power, and the tail at the back, which I glue onto the hard body, the back of it. I just glue that on. I cut this is a Z-Man, as you can probably tell. I just cut the first centimetre off the Z-Man and just push it up, and you just put your super glue on and push it right up over it, and then it's a neat fit, and it's interchangeable. I take it off, and what I do is after I've cut the hard body, I just put a hook in, usually a stainless hook, and I have the eye of the hook coming out the back and bend it, and I just feed the hook in so that it embeds itself in there, and I'll fill that with super glue or resin. I've used other stuff that I can fill it with. So, there's a lot of hard bodies that I didn't really like that got chopped into a hard on soft. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
What's the best lure you've sacrificed for a hard on soft?
Well, I haven't touched me hurricanes. They're too precious. But I suppose what it would be, SX40s I have actually chopped, if you were right. But they were really tired. Yeah, I know. Shame.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked.
Oh, I know. But also the Strike Pro, the Pygmy? Was it the Pygmy?
Yeah, it was similar.
Similar, yeah. So there was that one, because it had a little bib on it too. But early days, I used to use a lot of hard bodies that no bib at all. So it was, stick minnows too. That was one of my favourites I started with. So, yeah, I'm developing new lures so that I don't have to, because I'm running out of hard bodies to chop.
Okay, I'll have to send you some of my old ones, mate.
All right, mate. That's a deal.
How's the dunk going?
The dunk, it's caught me some perch. It's a great, and does it cast a mile? It's like those Daiwa spikes. They cast a mile too. Yeah. And so, yes, full approval. It's been blinged. I think I've shown you a photo, haven't I?
Yes. Yeah, I did give it to you with just either rubbish hooks or no hooks. I can't remember.
It was pretty tired. It needed dressing up. And it's got decent hooks on it now, otherwise known as doubles.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
tell us about the 48, mate. That's a pretty special fish. Tell us how that happened.
Oh, that's amazing for me in the Gippy Lakes. I've caught a lot of 47s. I know I fish a lot. I'd want to have caught them and the 46s and 45s. But the other day when I hooked this thing, it wrapped me around a stick. The stick was out of the water. The water level was here, and I went that side of the stick, and the hard on soft started to sink, and it just went clunk. And I thought, that could be a perch. And then this thing took off around the stick, and I saw it hit the surface, and it was flailing around on top. And I looked, I thought, oh boy, that's a big bream. Oh boy. And I had my good buddy Havo just zoom in on the kayak. He says, "Mate, that's pulling pretty hard. I said, "I'm in trouble, mate. I don't think I can get it." So I eventually paddled backwards. I didn't have the 180 drive, and I got the right side of the stick and hooked the line off it. And I thought, I reckon I got him. And then it did a big dive straight into more structure. And Deethy, thank cripes for me 8 kilo leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was only because of that, I'm sure. The Tortue leader, Nakrita,
Oh,
8
look out.
kilo. Anyway, so I got the fish, obviously. It took some seesawing on that snag as well, but I got it up and I got it in the net and I put it on the ruler and it went 49 centimetres. But I found my ruler, it was pretty heavy. My ruler got a little bow in it, so it sort of gave it a centimetre.
Yeah.
It was about half a centimetre. So I propped my ruler up to get it square, measured him tip to tip, and it was 48 and a half. 48 will do.
Yeah.
Digital scales at 1.68. So
Cracking fish.
pretty happy with that one.
Cracking
And that was
fish.
on the comp day. Yeah, Sunday. That was
That's amazing.
day 2. So I thought, maybe I've got the biggest fish, Skippy Lakes, for the day. And I thought, someone's going to beat it. They did, 1.71.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's a great fish. Yeah. What's that, like 43 fork or something? Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, look, that's interesting. Plenty.
It's about-
I've never been a fork angler to
Yeah,
everyone up
yeah.
here too. But I love tippers because it makes them sound bigger.
But I reckon it's probably bigger. I reckon probably close to 44 because some of those old fish, the tips get worn down, and Brett said it's kind of 48 and a half. It had to be a 44.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been 44, 45.
Yeah. So
It was
cracking
like the
fish.
51 I caught. It was like 48 fork, but it did have a big tail.
yeah.
But I will be fair and say this, Plinio, I don't fold the tail down to get that. I slim on the ruler, and if the tail's such, I don't look for that squeeze down.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. The old thing if you close that mouth on them, you lose another half centimetre,
Yeah.
You got to do it fair, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Don't
But
gain
I
anything.
love tippling. That just makes them sound bigger. That's
does,
the other reason. And look, I've always measured from way back tip. I'm not going to start doing the fork thing.
Yeah, no.
That's
It's just, I
in a
don't know why they've done it down here, but they've always done it. That's how we still do it.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, ABT's always done it. So, yeah.
That's fair.
Plinio, mate. I can see you were holding something special there a minute ago.
Listening to the snag resistance about that hard on soft, and I've been fishing this lately.
Ooh, that's new.
It's new. It's newer than new. It's not out yet, but it's coming out. It's a new collaboration from D-Style Jackal that JML are bringing out. Yeah.
Cool.
Here's a little box here. It's the TN50D.
Type
So-
D.
They come in
Wow.
that little sort of coloured box. Keep an eye out for it. So it's a version of the TN50. So this is the suspending version, and there's also going to be a slow sink. But I've been fishing this as a jerkbait. It doesn't go very deep at all, but you were saying that it's quite snag resistant, the hard on soft. These are, when you retrieve them, they go along like this.
Yes, good one.
Both your pebbles sit out the back like that, and they're amazingly snag resistant when they do hit reef.
I
The only
imagine.
thing hitting a reef is the point of that nose. Yeah.
Wow.
Like it.
I've got a little chin weight sort of availability there.
Yeah,
Right.
Love it.
Okay.
They'd cast well too, Plinio. And they're 50 mil?
Oh, they do pretty well. They're quite light. It's quite light. So it's not, you know how the old TN50 would be, well, from memory, I'm thinking like 8 grams or something, an
Yeah.
old TN50.
Yeah,
These are
yep.
they're a fraction of it. 5. There you
I
go.
was going to say if they're suspending, they can only be so heavy.
Mm.
That's
Might have even been 10 grams, the old TN50, the standard weight one. Yeah. They were pretty meaty. Yeah, no, but and I tell you what, the black Bream love these.
Right.
Ooh.
And that's 50 mil.
50 mil. So the profile's a classic TN50 profile. It's just the other characteristics they've changed on it. You know, the weighting at the front's different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the connection points are in different positions or not, but fishes a lot quite differently.
Nice.
I think that'll be good.
Keep diving, and of course, doesn't sink. This is a suspending one, so it only gets down 1 to 2 feet, about 1.5 feet.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's sort of an extension of the baby vibe, upsized, and and you can fish that mid-water range a bit. So interesting. I like it.
I've just found when you're on a patch of good fish, you're looking for the better ones amongst them, that wider profile. Like I was fishing it on a reef the other day, and I was down in the notches of the reef. It was only 2 foot deep, and I was literally high sticking it and fishing it 100 mil deep, and they were coming up to it, and like you could see them like arching it, and then they just roll over it, and really good. They really wanted it. Yeah.
And it vibes, like it gives off a vibe.
So it vibes. Yeah, vibes hard.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't wait to see those in stores.
Pretty quiet rattle. It's like a dull rattle,
like a glass rattle, maybe.
Yeah, don't know.
Well, there you go.
Thanks for sharing that one. That's a good one.
Very good.
Something to look out for. It's always good to have something new.
Oh, we love new toys.
We do. We do. Have you got anything else you want to cover off on, Brett?
Only quickly, the little collective challenge that we've got going presently.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my little, that was cedar that you sent down for me, wasn't it?
Some Australian cedar.
Yeah, so I've carved it and sanded it, and I've got some hookup points on it, and I've got a tiny little plastic bib on there that I've cut out of a, that was a tackle box divider.
Oh, yeah.
I've pulled out and just cut and shaped and bent up appropriately. I've had some lead weights on it already to see how much I need to make it sink slow.
Yep.
But I've yet to decide on colour. I'm thinking pink.
I was going to say it's pink. It's got to
go pink. But I'd love that cedar look on the wood. I just like staring at it at the moment. A couple of decent hooks on it, the doubles. So it's not far off from getting a swim maybe not tomorrow, but the next day. Look out.
Yeah. I mean, so for those who don't know, for the collective this period, we are doing make a 30 to 40 centimetre lure challenge. And my efforts so far amount to this.
So that's the homemade experience.
There's a couple of reasons for that, but that's where we're at. It's just a block of wood for those who can't see. I went and bought some balsa because I needed it to be. Anyway, needed the working of it to be a bit quieter to do it at home in a unit block in the upstairs.
It's almost like lure. If you cut it in half, put a few strangly bits off it, it'll look like a dice.
It's a dice. Oh, I should totally do that. That'd be pretty funny.
Do you tinker with lures? I'm not saying you make hard on softs, but I mean, do you paint or do you put stinger hooks on, take them off, or are you a little
I fish. I've been fishing these more and more. These are little D-style swim bait. I've been cutting those little tassels off and putting a stinger on there, but I don't know if it's any better or not. And I've definitely run stingers on the back of my PXs.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
But they come like that in the box now. But really bit of lead tape, some Zonka strip. I'm a big fan of the Zonka strip. I'll weight my fingers down for when I do need to, get that extra foot down and just sort of swim it down and let it sink another foot or two and then make the most of that retrieve when I need to. But I don't do it much. Well, I do it a bit with the little MX48 just to give them some more, castability in breeze particularly.
Yep.
I love upgrading to really good decoy trebles. I think that's a standard for about 99% of brimmers. They're great tools, aren't they? Yeah.
You're not a fan of double hooks? No?
I don't find the need. I've sort of built my brimming game around learning how to swim very accurately in a shallow profile. Like it's a lot about shallow water fishing in Tassie.
High stick sort of action.
How to swim an MW, 100 mil, 200 mil, 300 mil, 400 mil. You can do it regularly now. And it's like you were saying about your hard on soft. When you're not going into snags and untangling, where it comes back to 1%ers again, when you're not fouling up when you're not picking up slime because
Mm.
you look like cleanly, you're just going to have a better day, aren't you? You know,
Yeah.
You're not unhooking. You're not cleaning lures off. You're getting a lot more swim. Even learning how to do a good wrist snap and snap all that strap weed off your lure and then keep figuring out your retrieve. Little bits and bobs like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another one I do is put smaller trebles on a hard body for a reef. I call that a reef rig. Just dropping down from 10s to 14s or from 12s to 16s.
Yep.
Okay. Just to let it not go as deep or float up quicker.
Floats up quicker, but just with the lack of with less arc on the treble, you're just minimising that gap. So just that, is a 1%er.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I asked you about the tinkering is I think you would have had I started fly fishing. That's how I got going in fishing all those years ago. First rod I've picked up, fly rod. And so I made my own flies. So that just transformed itself in, like when I got into lure fishing, I thought, well, I can do whatever I like with these lures. So maybe you come from a fly fishing background yourself in that you catch a lot of trout. Am I right?
Yeah, I did fly fish a lot for a while when I was about 20, in my early 20s. And then I just became a lure nut. I went up the Western Lakes, and I struggled with the fly, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had any tuition from anyone. I've always been a self-taught dude, which, for anyone who wants any help out there, it's not the way to go. Go with someone who knows more than you and they'll teach you. And
a lot quicker.
Yeah. And and then I couldn't catch them, but I worked out how to catch them on shallow minnow. So I've always been a shallow minnow, shallow water guy.
Yeah, gotcha.
In the 80s, and had great success in the Western Lakes. And there you're talking like when those tarns are at summer level, you've got this water.
Yes.
And the trout's taking up half that depth, You've got to effectively swim a hard body. And I reckon it's harder than fly fishing.
You could be. Only that it's probably windy every day up there and you're not battling the wind with. And let's face it, fly fishing, I love me fly fishing, but it's a very archaic way of getting a lure out on the water. It's laborious. And then once you get over the romanticism of actually casting, it's a wonderful thing to do. Don't get me wrong, but it can be so tough when it's windy day after day after day. So when
I've just been in New Zealand and had a great trip in October, November. Caught a lot of fish on hard bodies, and I tell you what, the fly guides didn't like it. I got trolled hard. I got some real nasty personal messages, and I took that as a badge of success, that trolling. I was like, and of course, all these guys, when I sort of stalk them online, they're all like, leading fly guide who wanted, who basically had whole sections of river booked out for summer. And they didn't want me showing the lure guys that they'd go up there and catch even bigger trout than they would catch. They didn't want me teaching New Zealand that. They were dead set against that.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Pretty New Zealanders watching, yes, just get yourself some shallow minnows and get out there.
Deethy, I know we're pushed for time, but I'll just quickly expand on that story in that when I first really got to grips with squidgy wrigglers back in about 2001.
Yeah.
And started taking them to the trout dams where all we did was fly fish. We stocked them, and I took these squidgy wrigglers out there, and it was a absolute total embarrassment for me to think I was ever going to fly fish again. But all these, anglers are out there and my old man was one of them, and I'd be getting 7 an hour. 7 trout, and it was raining them because you could change your sink rate and you could throw them further and the wind didn't affect you and all the rest, and they just loved that wriggly tail.
Yeah.
It was a total embarrassment. So I got to learn that, this soft plastic thing,
Yep. That's interesting. When I went to Tassie back in 16, I think, so 10 years ago, and I hadn't intended on fishing, and a mate said, take my rod, take my travel rod. I went, all right, whatever. Anyway, I ended up fishing some local streams down there, and streams and rivers and what have you, and I got my fish on blades. So
wow,
they loved it.
blades.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I often catch a decent sea runner on blades.
yeah.
Cool.
When they're sitting doggo, when they're not on, go around the key snags and pop them on the mud. And sometimes I just catch them by mistake. Lucky. But I'd catch probably 2 or 3 a season on blade. Yeah, but that's interesting in the rivers, Andrew.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell you where. It was somewhere in the South Island. I was at Dunedin, but I did drive. My daughter was at school, and I was kind of, while she was at school, I'd go fishing for a couple of hours. And yeah, I caught my first trout over there, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I didn't use them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, next time. One of the things that I said in the intro that we talk about was pathways for junior anglers. And what brought that about is the Hobie, and this is not written in stone yet, but they've changed their mindset on junior anglers. And it'll now be the case where if an angler has a parent or guardian within, 30 or 50 meters of them, they can then go and fish a Hobie comp. So it actually opens up kayak fishing to much younger participants than what we've seen in the past. I don't know what the age limit's going to be on that, but I think it's an exciting thing. Like I've got one of my mate's sons who's very keen, and it now is the case that we'll be able to take him out and he can come fish a comp from a younger age. So I think that's pretty exciting to get anyone that is keen to have a go. And with the Hobie, for people who haven't got a kayak, there's only a couple available, but you can actually rent them through Hobie if you're in quick. So they're not bringing 15 to a round, but they'll bring a handful for, on a first in, best dressed sort of basis. When that led me on to, I looked up, actually I spoke to my mate's wife, and she said that they'd entered into the Daiwa Young Fisherman's Club, I think it is. Yeah, the Daiwa Young Fishing Club. Now, what they have, this is a pretty cool thing. So they have, I guess, an online competition, and this one runs from April 1st to May 14, I think it is. And it's an online competition. Basically, you catch your fish. You have to take 2 photos. You have to wear the Daiwa hat and then take one on the brag mat. And then there's a couple of different divisions. I think there's 26 different types of fish all around the country. And the reason I wanted to bring it up here, it's just another way to get the kids into fishing and into a competition environment where they can be recognized, publicly for their catches and win some prizes potentially. Looks like they've got $7,000 worth of prizes on offer. So if anyone's looking for that particular one, you need to go to daiwafishing.com.au and follow the links. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool way to get your young people into fishing, having a bit of fun. And yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I think if young people out there's fantastic initiative.
Exactly. And it ties also in with the Pertec Fishing Challenge, which is halfway through the month. So there's lots of things to do where you can include your kids.
I got majorly challenged by young fishing guns these days because at 15, they come out pre-formed. They'd spend the whole weekend downloading everything on Bream on YouTube. And then they rock up Monday. They can, skip cast. They can fly fish and do everything, mate. Like, I've taken a few young guys out recently and they rock up on the boat with a $1,500. I still don't have $1,500 combos. What have I done wrong, Andrew?
Exactly.
And these young guys, they just, good on them. I love it. I love seeing it. They're keen as mustard. But I tell you what, geez, they learn fast. It's, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and we used to have to go to the library to find out shit, and now they don't have to do any of that. They've got all that information, I'll be watching this podcast. Won't be, they'll be doing some new form of media.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're mind-blowing.
That's it. When we learnt to fish, don't you remember we had to go and, if you didn't know how to tie knots, you either have someone show you or you have to go and buy a knot book. And you look at these diagrams and try and tie the thing. Now you just pull out your phone. You're only 12 years old. You pull out your phone and you look on YouTube and go, which knot do I want to tie? And there's 4,000 videos on it. So this is obviously why their learning curve is much steeper than maybe ours was.
Yeah, I remember trying to learn how to do a nail knot from a fly leader from someone's drawing.
Yeah.
just torture. No one knows how to do that.
That's right. That's right. But
Very true.
it's the same with the YouTube videos. Like you might find one that doesn't work for you and you go,
Yeah.
okay, go to the next one. And then you like, especially say an FG knot, it's 10 different ways to tie it. You just keep going till you find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But no, all those things to get the young anglers out, it's fantastic. Our shout out to Joe Whittock, who's a local Bream gun on the Derwent, who's having a battle with cancer at the moment. And he's been out with me a couple of times recently. He's having a pretty rough week. So shout out to Joe, you'll probably be watching.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoy taking young people out brimming, a lot of the other guys are all sort of got their decisions all made up about how to fish. But the young guys come with you, they're like sponges,
Yeah.
He's in good hands. Plinio, he's in good hands if you're guiding and helping. You'll learn off him too.
Oh, I've been learning off him actually, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
all the time. They come out, they know all this stuff. But also they make you realise how bad your eyes are. Like I was fishing with Joe and he was like, look at that trout over there. It's chewing on something on the bottom. I'm like, what? And he's like pointing about 100 metres away and giving me a ball by ball description of how the trout's having its lunch. I couldn't even see the trout. I couldn't even see the bank it was on.
That's right. Oh, there you go. All right, guys. Is there anything else that you want to add, Brett?
One quick question for Plinio is, have you ever thought about chasing the mythical estuary perch on the West Coast?
No, I know where they are, and it's actually an offence to target them down here.
Oh, right.
There's a couple of feature bits of structure, shall we say, low in the system where you'll probably find them. I'm not even going to say the river because it might just you'll go there. Yeah, so no, I could if I wanted to. But it's actually an offence these days to target them down here. In my discussions with IFS recently, they are interested in doing similar work to what Victoria have done.
Stocking.
There's some big roadblocks in the way as far as how they've got to structure the genetic diversity.
Yes.
And they don't have any genetic diversity. So I think what they would want to do is bring in some other stock from elsewhere, but then there's rules that say you can't do that. So may not happen ever because they need fresh blood stock from elsewhere to give because they don't have the genetic diversity anymore.
Yeah, there was a rule of thumb to suggest that if you drew a line like nearly half Tasmania and went vertically up into the mainland, when we did have seas between Tassie and the mainland, there was a suggestion that there's an eastern strain and a western strain of estuary perch, and that may have continued on down to Tassie in the day, like 20,000 years. So there was that. I know they were flirting with that because I know for a fact the Scamander used to have a lot of estuary perch in there and they got netted out.
And Anson's Bay, like you said, and Anson's River had them as well.
Yes.
Where else? And I think even they might have been known to have existed in the Plinio River on the west coast, further south.
Yep.
And the Arthur River is the other one. But no, never know your luck. We might get some action one day down here on that front.
So that's all I've got, Deeth. This has been a great chat. I got to thank you for getting Plinio on board. We've had some fun tonight. This is great. Yeah.
Been good. Yeah, thank you, Plinio, for coming on. Hey, before we shoot off, mate, is there anyone, Plinio, that you want to give a shout out to? Like you want to give your sponsors a plug?
JML, EKG Australia have always been behind me ever since the early days when I was sort of messing around in tournaments. Never really sort of got there in tournaments, but I had a good time trying. But this year's 20 years with Eco Gear for me.
Wow.
Emil and Tony Sheo, who owns the company, has always been a great supporter of mine and continues to be, even though I'm an old dude now, I'm in my 60s, but I still love getting out there. I'm not one of those guys who gets bored with brimming. Every year is a new leaf to me. I think it's an amazing sport, whether it's in a comp scenario or just out doing your sort of wild fishing version of it. But no, most of all, I wouldn't have been able to do hardly any of it without them. So big thanks to those guys. Yeah.
And was it through you writing magazines that you got involved with your sponsorship? Was that the catalyst to that, or how did that? Yeah.
I was up in Yamba early days before I moved back to Tassie, actually, and I was writing for the paper and met Gavin Dunn, who used to be sales manager for them years ago. And then I moved back to Tassie and started I've done a few comps already, and I won a bass comp, actually. So it probably spiked their interest in me. And then I came down here and was doing more and was writing for Fishing Monthly and Freshwater Fishing before then, actually, as well. I did a bit of writing till I got sick of writing and went brimming all the time. Yeah. And they actually rang me up and said, do you want to join the team? Which was nice. Well, I was like, I wasn't really trying to, but I was like, absolutely, I'd love to. And I've learned lots being part of going through all those different eras of being, supported by companies, being a pro staff or field tester, what do you want to call yourself? I don't really care what they call me nowadays. They call me all sorts of things. But it's definitely changed over the years. Hey, it's been interesting, everything going into, the Facebook world and all that. Probably annoy people now on Facebook with all my brim posts, but I try and put something in there for an angler, try and give people a location, a method, try and put some background in there. Don't do it my favourite spots, but, pretty much I like to give away everything, give away ideas and techniques. And I think that sort of stuff wins out overall if you're trying to influence people and show people the how-tos of brimming, Yeah.
Good one. And how to take the puppy dog for a boat ride as well.
She was asleep here right through the interview. She's not here anymore, though she must have got sickness.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Look, thanks you both so much. And I look forward to next month as well.
Thanks, Stacey.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Yeah, mate.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.